It is Thursday, so we're getting down to business with Cosmo Macero of O'Neill and Associates a bit earlier this week. Cosmo, of course, some big news coming out of Morrissey Boulevard yesterday. The Boston Globe up for sale again. But who would buy a newspaper these days? Seems like the model may be broken.
Yeah, Mark, any asset is worth what someone will pay for it. 20 years ago, the New York Times Company paid over $1 billion for the Globe. Long before the newspaper business went through an evolutionary process in a downward spiral. 7 years ago, there were estimates, or there were bids placed between $500 and $600 million suggested. And then just 4 years ago, as we plunged toward the depths of a financial crisis, and the Globe was in crisis, right, the bids rolled down into $35 or $40 million. Today, that's changed a little bit because of the economy. And the estimates now are somewhere in the low end between $65 million and $150 million, however that shakes out. But the newspaper business is still in a very difficult state right now because of the evolution in new media and how we consume news.
Is it an ego thing that someone would buy this? I mean, even though it's a losing, entity right here?
I think a couple of things will work. Look, some people see a business model. Warren Buffett is interested in newspapers. His name has been kicked around.
Just bought 60 this past year.
Exactly. So has Jack Connors, a local person. Any number of local multi-millionaires or billionaires could be in the mix for something like this because they know the Globe is an iconic news brand, not just in New England, but really throughout the country. And it's an important community asset. But you got to run a business, and you got to make the business model work. They've done some groundbreaking stuff online. Boston.com, one of the number one online news site throughout New England. Some important properties there, but really a business model that is flawed because of how the news business has evolved.
Let's talk more about that. Less people getting the physical newspaper in their homes. As you mentioned, more and more going towards online.
Yeah, actually, more and more. I got to tell you, I get my Sunday paper with my digital subscription. More and more, it's becoming a doorstop. It's just the way I consume news. I'm kind of I'm helping to kill the very industry that I spent most of my career in. But it's just the reality of how we consume news. Plus, I'm going blind. That's the way people consume news today.
I mean, if you were looking at this too, I mean, an interesting tweet from Jack Welch last night, who said, once they sold off their interest in the Red Sox, because they did have an ownership stake, he said that if that was still included, it would be a much more enticing buy for someone.
I think he's absolutely right about that. It hasn't been since the Red Sox sale that an iconic sort of regional brand like this has been up for public bid. It's going to be a very closely watched sale process for sure.
No doubt about it. All right, Cosmo Macero of O'Neill and Associates, and I will be watching that very closely and talk more about the Globe right now, because one name mentioned as a potential buyer, Wellesley businessman Aaron Kushner, who kicked the tires on a potential deal to buy the Globe in 2011. Kushner ultimately bought the Orange County Register and other papers owned by Freedom Communications in Irvine, California. Now, a few months ago, our sister station in Los Angeles did an interview with Kushner and asked why he'd get into a business many believe is on the decline.
If you're focused on giving your subscribers more, well, one way or another, by hook or crook, you are going to give your subscribers more.
So you're not crazy?
Only a little bit. There are a lot of businesses that are much easier and a lot less scary than newspapers, but there are very few institutions that I think you can own and grow that matter more than newspapers.
So there you have it. Among other names being mentioned, a number of former Globe executives, including Stephen Taylor, whose family sold the Globe to the Times back in 1993, and who could team up possibly with Kushner. Boston ad executive Jack Connors, and even Warren Buffett's name has been mentioned as well. As I mentioned earlier, Buffett bought 60 papers just last year.